Hello, and welcome to day 6 of the alcohol experiment. Today's chapter is titled Why Willpower Doesn't Work for Long. If you're new here, my name is Melissa O'Malley, and I'm just reading straight from the alcohol experiment by Annie Grace. If you would like community support around this, feel free to join my Facebook group, or you can learn more at alcoholexperiment.com. But like I said, I'm just reading straight from this brilliant work by Annie Grace. This chapter is Why Willpower Doesn't Work for Long. And we start with a quote, an anonymous quote. It says, "If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice." Mm, mm. That's true. All right. For our purposes, we will specifically define willpower as using conscious mental energy or effort to stop doing something, like drinking, or start doing something, like exercise. If you've ever tried to lose weight, stop gambling, or make your bed every day for a month, you've probably tried to harness willpower to get through it. Spending 30 days alcohol-free is no different. It's only 30 days, right? How hard could it be? Well, here's the deal with willpower. It's a finite and exhaustible resource. Willpower can be defined as the ability to resist short-term temptations in order to meet long-term goals. Some people think it's a skill that can be honed and perfected, or a muscle that can be built up and maintained. But it doesn't seem to work that way. New research shows it's more like an energy reserve, and when the reserve is low, there's not much you can do until you top it back up. Why willpower fluctuates. Mark Muravin, an associate professor of sociology at Case Western Reserve University, wanted to understand why he had lots of willpower at certain times, but not others. He conducted an experiment to prove that willpower was more effective when conserved, and that when taxed, it could run out. Subjects, under the guise that they were participating in a taste-based experiment, were placed in a room with 2 bowls on a table. One bowl was full of fresh baked cookies, and the other was full of radishes. Half the subjects were told to eat the cookies and ignore the radishes, and the other half were told to eat the radishes and ignore the cookies. Bummer for them, right? After 5 minutes, both groups were given a puzzle that appeared easy but did not actually have a solution. Because the puzzle was impossible, continuing to work on it required willpower. The subjects who had previously used willpower to ignore the cookies worked on the puzzle for 60% less time than the subjects who had not used any of their willpower reserves. And there was a drastic difference in attitudes. The radish eaters were grumpy and frustrated and even snapped at the researchers. All decisions take energy. Every decision you make requires you to expend a certain amount of energy, and that includes energy you might prefer to save up for exercising willpower. If you've had a hard day at work and you've had to make lots of decisions, your energy and willpower will both be lower. This is why it's easier to resist temptation earlier in the day, but by the time 5 o'clock rolls around, you just want a martini. It's exhausting exercising your willpower all day. There's also something called the what the hell effect, which explains what happens when you abandon your quest for willpower, give in to temptation, and then, since you feel badly for giving in, you throw caution to the wind and end up going overboard. You slip up and drink. Regret sets in, but since you've already had one drink, you think, what the hell? I might as well get drunk. No matter how much willpower you started the day with, by the time happy hour rolls around, it's pretty much gone. You might be able to muster up the willpower for that evening, but what about when you get home? What about the next day and the next? What are you going to do? Lock yourself in a closet for the rest of your life? Clearly, willpower is not the answer as long as your cognitive dissonance around drinking remains firmly embedded in your mind. As long as there are 2 competing ideas, to drink or not to drink, you will struggle and expend energy trying to resist those subconscious messages causing your using your conscious logic. But once you resolve that cognitive dissonance and are of one mind about alcohol, there is no struggle. There's no decision to make, and willpower is no longer required. You can use it for something else, like saying no to that piece of chocolate cake. Of course, you can use the ACT technique to take care of your chocolate cravings too. Today, take out a small piece of paper or an index card and write down a few of the facts about alcohol that you know to be true. Alcohol actually increases stress in the body. When I go out with my friends, I'm happy with a tonic and wine. I don't need alcohol to have fun. Keep that card handy in your wallet or cell phone case. Whenever you feel yourself relying on willpower to get you through a situation, or you feel like you're about to give in, pull out the card and read it. Calming the dissonance in your mind will do more than trying to grit your way through a situation. Day 6 journal questions. Remember, all the wisdom you seek is actually inside you. The most important words in this experiment are the ones you tell yourself. Take some time to answer these questions in a journal, a voice memo to yourself, or simply by speaking the answers out loud for only you to hear. 1. Your experience with willpower. When do you have the least amount of willpower? When you are tired, bored, lonely, hungry, angry? These times make it harder for us to handle cravings, and studies show we're more likely to give in these moments. When are these times for you? Be specific. The more specific you are in writing these down, the more aware you will be when they crop up. 2, anchor in your learning. Write down some of the things you've learned so far in this experiment. If you have doubts about them, write those down as well. By doing this, you are changing your mindset so that you will no longer have to rely on willpower. ACT number 3, alcohol, relaxation, and stress relief. Awareness. If you're drinking to relax, like I used to do, you're not alone. Relaxation and stress relief are some of the main reasons people drink. After all, who can deny that a few drinks totally relaxes you and relieves everyday pressures, stress, and anxiety? There's a reason it's called happy hour, right? You can't use willpower to grit your way through and ignore the belief that alcohol relaxes you. So let's name this belief. Alcohol relieves stress and helps me relax. We watch people in movies and on TV and all around us drinking to relax. There's a reason that happy hour starts at 5 o'clock. Work stresses us out. Money stresses us out. Our relationships stress us out. And stress stresses us out. It's a major contributor to many deadly diseases. For most of us, the pressures and expectations of modern living seem out of control, and we're taught to simply drink our problems away instead of facing them head on. Clarity. So, why do we believe this? When in our past have we observed and experienced alcohol taking the edge off of stress and anxiety? We could start with our parents and relatives. When you were young, did your mom or dad come home after a long day and immediately pour a drink? It's been part of our culture since we were children. If not yours, what about your friends' parents? We certainly all watch TV shows and movies where the dad comes home and immediately grabs a beer from the fridge, or the homicide detectives talking over a case at a local bar. As we grew older and went to college, partying was the natural way to blow off the stress from exams or a long day of lectures. We've seen people doing this in real life, and there are numerous movies whose whole storyline revolves around a huge college drunk fest after final exams. It's almost inevitable that we started mimicking what we observed. Everywhere we look, society is telling us that if we have to do something hard, we need a drink to cope with it. So it's pretty easy to see where this belief might have come from. Take a few minutes right now to write down some specific instances when you observed or experienced alcohol being relaxing. If your parents drank after work, what exactly did they drink? And how did they behave afterward? What specific movies or TV shows do you remember watching where a character drank to relax? Try to pinpoint how and when you started to believe that you need alcohol to relax. First of all, let's define true relaxation. What exactly are we trying to do with the stress and anxiety we may be experiencing in the moment? We're trying to get rid of it, right? True relaxation is the absence of stress and anxiety. It's not ignoring the stress or numbing it. Real relaxation removes it completely. To get to that point, you must deal with the source of the stress. Talk with your boss about a problem, rearrange your schedule to avoid a conflict, or whatever it is you need to do to remove the discomfort. You can't get that out of a bottle. A shot of tequila can't fix your marriage. It can only make you not worry about it for a little while. It's true that you can equate that initial tipsy feeling with being relaxed. How long can you sustain it? 20 minutes? An hour? Drinkers almost never feel relaxed for a full hour because as the alcohol is metabolized, we actually feel more stress than we did when we started. Alcohol leaving the body makes us feel worse. So, what do? Have another. It's ironic that we drink to relax because drinking actually adds stress to our lives. I'm not going to deny that alcohol definitely provides the illusion of relaxation, especially at first. But here's what's actually happening: that drink is simply numbing the senses and slowing the mind. For a short time, we truly don't care about our problems and we feel relaxed. But we're not actually eliminating the problem or concern. Instead of solving the issue and removing it, we're actually postponing it and prolonging the pain. Because we build a tolerance for alcohol, we need more and more of it to have the same effect, which introduces a host of other stress inducing concerns. How much did I drink last night? Why is my wife angry with me? What embarrassing things did I do or say? How am I going to get up and go to work with this hangover? How can my bank account be overdrawn again? This cycle is the opposite of relaxation. It puts additional stress and strain on our health, finance, and relationships. And the more we use alcohol to numb our senses, the more alcohol we need and the more stress we add to our lives. After a few years of regular drinking, the stress can truly become unbearable. Think about it like this: if alcohol truly relaxed us, wouldn't we need less of it over time? So, why do we find we need more and more to reach the same level of relaxation? If we drink to relax on a daily basis, shouldn't it be easier, not harder, to get that relief? Let's also take a look at the external evidence around this belief and what's actually happening neurologically when you drink. Your brain is a reactive mechanism. When you drink, to it reacts to bring your body back into balance. Because alcohol is a natural depressant, your brain counteracts it by releasing stimulants including adrenaline and cortisol. Guess what? Those are not only stimulants but also stress hormones. Cortisol is released in stressful situations and has been linked to a higher risk of infection, mood swings, high blood pressure, fat storage, and even premature aging. Talk about added stress. Adrenaline is linked to your fight or flight response, which is great if you're being chased by a lion. But in large amounts, adrenaline is also linked to insomnia, nervousness, and lower levels of immunity. But this is Melissa speaking. Lower, like that's the last thing we need as we're trying to cope with a pandemic, right? And like I know myself included, starting in like March 2020, it became a lot easier and a lot more appealing to drink more often, uh, to cope with the stress of the pandemic. Um, and insomnia, nervousness, lower levels of immunity, more stress and adrenaline than was already like being pumped into our system due to the state of the world. Like it's the opposite of what we want, right? Not saying that, yeah. Anyway, back to it. Here's where the bad news gets worse. Remember that alcohol takes about a week to completely leave your body. So if you're a regular drinker, you're in a constant state of withdrawal, which means you have consistently elevated levels of cortisol and adrenaline, which means you're always stressed on a physiological level. Add on the everyday stressors of work, health, and relationships, and it's no wonder you want to escape for a little while. One drink And that anesthetic takes over, decreasing your senses and slowing your brain function. The more you drink, the less you feel. And if you drink until you pass out, you get to feel absolutely nothing for a short amount of time. But guess what? As soon as you sober up, all those stressors will remain, and then some. You made things worse. And the longer you drink to relax, the more the problems will pile up, and you'll become less and less capable of handling everyday complications. Scientists studied this phenomenon with two groups of mice. One group was given alcohol over a 30-day period, and the other was not. At the end of the 30 days, they were put through extraordinarily stressful situations, and their responses were measured. The mice that had consumed alcohol had a much harder time dealing with all the external stressors presented to them. The same was true for me. When I was drinking regularly, even the most mundane problems overwhelmed me. But once alcohol was no longer affecting my internal systems, I was able to handle them without a problem. I know life isn't always easy, but when you drink, you're limiting your ability to cope. Everything you do feels so much more difficult. So, what do you think? Does alcohol really relax you? Does it actually help you deal with stress and anxiety? Or is it simply numbing you out so you can ignore it for a little while? Understanding the root cause of your stress and removing it completely is the only way to enjoy true relaxation. Turn around. The opposite of alcohol relieves stress and helps me relax is alcohol does not relieve stress and help me relax, or alcohol adds stress to my life. Come up with as many ways as you can that the opposite is as true or truer than the original belief. That's it for day 6. Tomorrow is day 7, which is amazing. And the title of the chapter is Your Experiment and Your Friends. Let me look ahead to see if there is an ACT. Nope. So tomorrow we'll talk about your experiment and your friends. And the next day is how alcohol affects your senses. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that this is helpful. I'm sharing it because of how incredibly helpful it was for me. So if you need extra support, let me know. I'm so here to help make this as easy as it can be. Good luck. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you tomorrow.